What's up, YouTube? I'm here to do my recap for UFC 190. Let's start at the bottom. First fight was Guido Calenti versus Hugo Vienna, and Calenti just looked better throughout the whole fight. His striking looked more on point, and his takedown defense and takedown offense just looked better. I can't remember which round it was, just because this fight was so early on that I thought Hugo won, but there was one round where I thought Hugo clearly won it, and then Calenti clearly just looked better, like throughout overall. So good win for him. I thought he might have gotten screwed just because it was in Brazil, and that's what it was. I'm sorry for getting, but the first two rounds are close, and that's why I thought Hugo was probably gonna get it because it was in Brazil, but they didn't screw him over. Good for him. Next was Vitor Miranda versus Clint Hester, and Clint Hester, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, he was trying to wrestle with Vitor, but he's a kickboxer, so I knew that was destined to fail what he was doing because, he's such a big dude and he's just gassing himself out fighting in a way that he's not used to fighting. And I think that's what happened. He just had a hard time keeping that pace doing what he was doing because he never fights like that. He doesn't usually wrestle people. He likes to kickbox. So the first round, I thought he won the first half and then Vitor won the second half. I gave it to Vitor just because he did more damage. And then the second round was basically Vitor caught him with a knee as he's coming in for a takedown and just won by TKO. So good win for Vitor Miranda. Next was Yuri Alcantara versus Leandro Issa, and this was pretty much what I thought was going to happen. They're pretty much just feeding Yuri a win here. I thought Leandro Issa looked good in the first. He actually was able to get Yuri to the ground and use his better jiu-jitsu, but Yuri's jiu-jitsu is good enough where he wasn't going to get caught or beat up or anything like that. And then the second, the third round, Yuri was just able to, conserve energy, fight at a better pace, and, just not get taken down and use his striking to win rounds 2 and 3. Next was Warlley Alvarez versus Norman Tebel. And the first round, I thought Warlley won. He used his wrestling to pretty much win the first half of the round, I think, and then the second half was a pretty back-and-forth kickboxing match. And then the same thing happened in the next round. Warlley got an early takedown, and then the kickboxing was pretty even. Norman Tebel was kind of counter-punching, so it was kind of slow. But then Norman kind of looked like he was trying to steal the round back at the end, and he kind of forced a takedown. And when he did that, Warlley caught him in a guillotine. So good win for Warlley. Next was Patrick Cummings versus Rafael Cavalcante. And this fight was super one-sided too. I mean, Cavalcante was able to land some hard shots here and there. When he got space, and he kind of cut up Patrick Cummins' face, but, both rounds 1 and 2 was pretty one-sided wrestling match, and then the third round, you could just tell Cavalcante was dead tired, and then once Pat got to the ground, he just won by TKO with elbows, kind of like how Yoel did to Lyoto Machida. Next was Demian Maia versus Neil Magny, and this was kind of what I thought was going to happen. I mean, Neil Magny's been able to win a lot, but those are all against kind of B-level dudes. And as soon as Demian Maia got to the ground, he kind of was able to defend, but you could tell that there was a huge gap in their overall skill. And, the whole first round, Demian Maia was able to just keep him down. Neil Magny did a really good job of getting it back to half guard. He kept on getting mounted, but was able to regain half guard, and that was good. But the second round, to me, Demian Maia just started throwing more ground and pound, and then Neil Magny kind of made the mistake of giving him his back. And as soon as he gave him his back, it was over. Demian Maia just slowly got the body triangle in, and then worked for the rear naked and got it. So Neil Magny is still a bright prospect, but just, not as good as I think. I don't know. I don't know where to put him, but good win for Demian Maia. Next was Galadia Gahali versus Jessica Arulo, and there's no offense to women's MMA, but I could have predicted exactly what's going to happen in that fight. It was going to be a lot of high volume strikes, not a lot of grappling, maybe 1 or 2 takedowns around, and no one was getting knocked out. It was just someone's going to look beat up, and that's the problem with my biggest problems with women's MMA is you saw how many hits she took, and it's always like that. I mean, the only person is Ronda, who wins by KO. You never really see women get knocked out like how Ronda knocked out Bethe Correia. Even though 9 times out of 10, when you see someone get hit as much as Golechi was hitting Arulo, not saying it's bad. I like some of them. Like, I like Joanna, but You know what I mean? The way this fight happened was just predictable. Like, I knew how this fight was gonna happen before it even happened. So it was just kind of boring, but good win for Galehi, 30-27. Next was Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus Solo Pelele. And I don't know what Solo Pelele was doing. I mean, the first round he pretty much had almost won. I mean, he was lighting Bigfoot up. All he had to do was take him down again, and then, he just kind of got lazy and got hit with an uppercut, and then just let Bigfoot kind of wail on him, and Bigfoot got a comeback knockout. So, good win for Bigfoot. I still don't think he's probably ever going to be at the level he was. I mean, even in this fight, like I said, if there was 10 more seconds on that clock, I think Solo Pelele probably would have won by first round knockout. So, good win for him, but who knows how much more time he still has left in his career. Next was Stefan Struve versus Big Nog, and, Big Nog just looked really old in this fight. I think he should retire. I mean, he really just had a hard time doing everything. I mean, he had his moments here and there, but Stefan Struve didn't look. Stefan Struve hasn't looked great in a while either. But he, it's just one of those things where it was a good win for Stefan Struve, but I'm glad Nogueira got one more fight to realize, maybe I'm just a little too old for this, and he didn't get beat up too bad. So, a good win for Struve, and I think this is just time for Nogueira to retire. I think he's almost 40, or he is 40, so not too much else to say about that. Next was Ronaldo Vera versus Daniel Lopez, and I thought Lopez won. And I think the majority of people, I think it was like 52 or 53% of the people that voted also gave it to Lopez, and I like that because that makes me think it's not just me being biased. People actually thought he won. The majority of people. I don't even know what fight the judges were watching, especially the first round. I mean, if you look at the first round, they actually showed the strikes after the first round, and Lopez was ahead by 10 strikes, and he also went for 2 of those guillotine attempts. So I thought he clearly won the first. And then the second round I thought Vera was winning it, but then the last minute Lopez got that takedown, was on top the whole last minute. So I thought he was up 2 rounds to 0, and then I thought Vera kind of stole the third round right at the end, but you can still argue that Lopez won that round because he was on top for like half the round, and he was going for that guillotine. So when I heard those 30-27 decisions, I thought they were for Lopez. So I was just kind of surprised. I know it was a close fight, and I know it was right around that 50% mark. It was like 50 that thought Lopez won. But I'm just saying, I thought he won. I thought it was pretty clear that he won. I thought he had more control throughout the whole fight, but whatever. Next was Franca versus Bruno, and Franca just looked like he was twice as big as Bruno, and he just used that to his advantage the whole fight. It was kind of a boring grappling fight, but eventually Franca got the rear naked choke late in the third round, so good submission win for Franca. Next was Shogun versus Little Nog, and both these guys show that they still have some fight left in them, but not a lot. I mean, that was a good job at trying to do what they did back in the old Pride fight, but it was a good fight. I'm not saying it was a bad fight. Nogueira almost came back and knocked him out late in the first after he was losing that whole first round. Then the second round, Shogun came back and it was 1-1. And then Shogun was basically lighting him up with kicks in the third, and then Nogueira almost came back with a guillotine. So it was a good back and forth fight. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was definitely a good fight of the night in my opinion, and it did get fight of the night. So, and then last was Ronda Rousey versus Bethe Correia, and not much to say about this fight except for it looked like Ronda was pulling Betch's hair. Maybe I was just at a bad angle. I thought it was kind of weird, but it was pretty fast. Ronda just threw a bunch of punches. And a couple of times she was reaching for her head, like I said, it looked like she was pulling her hair, but, Ronda just clipped her with a hook and knocked her out. So, good win for Ronda. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.